There comes a moment in life when you finally stop and ask yourself, why isn't it working? You've been hustling harder, grinding longer, visualizing, journaling, meditating, even praying for the breakthrough you crave, and yet nothing moves. You look at the sky and whisper, what am I missing? Here's the truth most people never hear. Life isn't about chasing harder or forcing things into place. The universe doesn't answer to clenched fists. It responds to surrender. Carl Jung, one of the deepest thinkers of the human soul, once said, what you resist not only persists, but grows in size. And that's exactly what happens when you're fighting life, pushing against your own unconscious, trying to control what was never yours to command. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And if who you are on the inside is fractured, desperate, or unhealed, no amount of affirmations or late nights grinding will bring lasting change. Because the world isn't listening to your words, it's listening to your energy. True manifestation isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more. It's about alignment. It's about integration. It's about remembering the version of you that already feels whole, worthy, and complete. The version of you that doesn't need to chase because it already is. This is the journey we're about to take. From chasing to becoming, from forcing to flowing, from manifesting to remembering. 1. Surrender, don't force. The universe doesn't respond to a clenched fist. It responds to open hands. Think about it. A fist is tight, rigid, defensive. It signals fear, desperation, and control. But open hands, they signal trust, readiness, and allowance. One says, I must hold on or I'll lose. The other says, I am ready to receive. When you force, you're not creating, you're surviving. You're pushing energy with panic underneath it. You're running on scarcity, on fear of, what if it never happens? That's why it feels heavy, exhausting, like you're carrying the world on your shoulders. Surrender flips that script. It doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means doing what's in your power, then releasing the obsession with the outcome. It means acting from alignment, not fear. Effort without alignment equals survival mode. You can hustle 16 hours a day, but if your energy is rooted in lack, you'll only multiply the emptiness. Effort with alignment equals creation mode. When your energy is clean, when your why is rooted in wholeness, the same actions suddenly flow, compound, and attract. That's why surrender isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the courage to admit, I'm not in control of everything, and that's okay. It's the quiet strength to step back, breathe, and allow life to move with you instead of against you. Because the truth is, the universe doesn't reward force, it rewards flow. 2. Stop chasing. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that life is a race, that if we keep running fast enough, pushing hard enough, and chasing long enough, eventually what we're chasing will land in our hands. Success, love, recognition, money, all sold to us as things we must sprint toward, capture, and hold tightly before someone else gets there first. But the truth is brutal. Chasing rarely brings fulfillment. Chasing is usually the loudest symptom of a deeper wound. Think about it. Why do so many people obsess over money? Is it really about the pieces of paper, the numbers in a bank account? Or is it about silencing the fear of poverty, proving to family and friends that you finally matter, that you finally made it? Why do we obsess over relationships? Often it's not about love itself. It's about escaping the terror of abandonment, filling the emptiness left by years of feeling unseen. Carl Jung saw this cycle clearly. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. When you're chasing, you're not actually moving towards something new. You're being pulled by an old wound. The more you run, the more you unknowingly circle back into the same patterns. That's why people repeat the same toxic relationships, keep grinding through jobs they hate, or watch money slip through their fingers no matter how much they make. Life doesn't reward desperation. Life mirrors it. You can scream your affirmations into the sky. You can post your vision boards and say all the right words. But if your inner energy says, I am not enough until I get this, the world hears that louder than anything else. And so what you chase runs away because deep down you're radiating lack. Chasing says, I need this to prove my worth. Alignment says, I am already worthy. What is meant for me flows naturally. The shift sounds simple, but it requires deep honesty. Because stopping the chase isn't about becoming passive. It's about slowing down long enough to ask, why am I chasing this in the first place? What am I hoping this thing will fix? What part of me still feels incomplete without it? Until you face those questions, the chase will never end. You'll run faster, burn out quicker, and end up even more empty than when you started. But when you stop chasing and start facing, something flips. Your goals become cleaner. Your desires become realigned. And suddenly, instead of moving out of desperation, you move out of wholeness. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. And the moment you become whole, the chase dissolves. Because the very things you were running after begin to flow toward you instead. 3. The unconscious is always listening. Here's the hard truth. You can't lie to your unconscious. You can repeat affirmations until your voice cracks. You can write I am enough in gold ink on your bathroom mirror. But if deep inside you still believe you're unworthy, unsafe, or unloved, then your unconscious will quietly sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. That's because the unconscious runs the show. It remembers everything, every word spoken to you as a child, every betrayal, every fear you shoved into the shadows. It doesn't forget, and it doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you believe. This is why so many people feel like the universe is testing them. They say, why is life so hard? Why do I keep running into the same obstacles? Why is this lesson repeating? But you're not being tested, you're being mirrored. Life is reflecting back the story you unconsciously believe. If your unconscious says, I always get abandoned, then every relationship you enter will echo that fear until you confront it. If it says, I'll never be safe financially, then no matter how much money you make, you'll find yourself living in anxiety, spending recklessly, or watching wealth slip through your hands. Energy over words, always. Your energy is like a broadcast tower, constantly transmitting the truth of your unconscious. Words might paint pretty pictures, but if the canvas underneath is soaked with fear and doubt, the paint will always crack and fade. That's why people feel like manifestation doesn't work for them. They're painting on top of old wounds instead of cleaning the canvas first. Carl Jung put it simply, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakens? Translation, stop waiting for signs in the sky. Start paying attention to the signs inside you. That tightness in your chest when you visualize your dream life. That doubt that creeps in even as you repeat your affirmations. That isn't the universe testing you. That's your unconscious screaming, I don't believe this yet. And until you make peace with that voice, life will keep mirroring it back to you. So how do you shift? Not by layering more positivity on top of your chaos. Not by begging the universe harder. The shift begins when you sit still long enough to hear what your unconscious has been saying all along. When you stop running from the fear and instead listen to it like a teacher. Every fear carries a message. Every doubt is a clue. And when you decode those messages, when you sit with your wounds instead of avoiding them, you begin to integrate. That's when things finally start moving. Not because you force them, but because your energy aligned. Fourth, detachment is not giving up. One of the greatest misunderstandings in spiritual and psychological growth is the idea of detachment. People hear the word and assume it means apathy, passivity, or surrendering your dreams altogether. But true detachment has nothing to do with giving up. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about no longer being chained to the outcome. Detachment is the quiet confidence that says, I've done my part. I've planted the seed. Now I allow the soil, the sun, and time to do the rest. When you're attached to an outcome, you suffocate it. You check your phone every 5 minutes for a reply. You refresh your analytics until your chest tightens. You obsess over whether things are working. This isn't manifestation. It's fear disguised as control. And fear is loud. It leaks into your energy. It tells the world, I don't trust this. I don't believe I'm enough until I get it. But when you detach, the noise stops. Real alignment doesn't feel like anxiety or desperation. It feels like peace. It feels like being able to breathe again. It feels like trusting that what you've built, what you've given, will ripple back in its own time. Carl Jung understood this truth in his study of individuation, the process of becoming whole. To individuate, you cannot cling to illusions, roles, or outcomes. You must let go of dependency and rediscover your inner ground. Because life doesn't bend for those who beg. It bends for those who are already whole enough to let it flow. Detachment is not the absence of desire. It's the absence of dependency. You can still want the love, the success, the abundance. But when your self-worth is no longer tied to having it, you stop begging life to prove your value. You become magnetic, not desperate. The paradox is this: when you finally release the grip, when you stop clinging with sweaty palms and desperate eyes, life often delivers exactly what you once chased. Not because you forced it, but because you no longer block it with fear. So the next time you feel the urge to grasp tighter, to prove more, to control outcomes, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from trust or from terror? If it's terror, step back, breathe, detach. Because true power isn't in forcing life to match your script. It's in trusting that alignment will unfold when you stop clinging. 5. The void. Here's the part no one warns you about. After you let go, after you surrender the outcome and release the chase, nothing happens. No sign, no reward, no miracle email in your inbox. Just silence. This silence, what Jung might call the creative void, is the most misunderstood phase of growth. Most people meet the void and assume they've failed. They panic, they think surrender isn't working, and so they run back to chasing, grasping, forcing. They try to fill the silence with noise. But the void isn't punishment, it's purification. The void is the in-between, the sacred space where your old self has died, but your new self has not yet been born. It is liminal, a threshold. It feels like nothing, but it contains everything. Jung once wrote, in all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. That's the void. On the surface, your life looks still, uneventful, stagnant. But beneath the surface, your psyche is reorganizing itself. Old wounds are being released. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your unconscious is rewiring so that you can hold what you once begged for. The void strips away the illusions you used to cling to. The external validation, the constant feedback loops, the dopamine hits of small progress, it leaves you naked with nothing but yourself. And that's terrifying because there's no proof you're on the right path. There's no map, no applause, just you in the silence. But here's the hidden truth. The void is where transformation actually happens. It's where the caterpillar dissolves into liquid before becoming a butterfly. It's where the seed cracks underground before sprouting above the soil. It's where the old you finally releases control so that the new you can emerge. Most people sabotage themselves in the void. They believe the lie that nothing is happening. They rush back into old habits, they grasp for certainty, they chase again. And in doing so, they block the very transformation that was quietly taking root. If you can survive the silence, if you can hold steady in the nothingness, the void becomes the birthplace of everything. It teaches patience. It teaches trust. It teaches you to embody the outcome before it arrives. Can you feel wealthy before the money lands? Can you feel loved before the partner appears? Can you feel free before anything changes on the outside? If you can, you collapse time. You stop waiting. You start becoming. That's the gift of the void. It strips away your dependency so that when the new life finally comes, you meet it not as a beggar, but as a being who already knows. I was whole even without this. 6. Integration and wholeness. Every desire you have is not random. It's not punishment. It's not even about the thing itself. Your desires are mirrors, signals from your unconscious, pointing you toward the places inside that are still aching for healing. You don't crave money just for money's sake. What you crave is safety, freedom, the ability to exhale without fear of lack. You don't long for love just for the romance. You long to be seen, to be valued, to be recognized as worthy of presence and devotion. Success itself? It's rarely about the applause. It's about proving to yourself and to those who doubted you that you matter. But here's the trap. When you mistake the desire for the wound, you obsess. You chase the external thing, believing it will fix the internal ache. You think, if I just get enough money, the fear will disappear. If I just find love, the loneliness will fade. If I just succeed, the emptiness will go quiet. But obsession is not magnetism. Obsession is a noise. It's the frantic energy of grasping. And the universe doesn't respond to noise. It responds to wholeness. Carl Jung's process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming whole, reveals the real work, not chasing outcomes, but integrating the parts of yourself you've rejected, your shadow and your light, your confidence and your insecurity, your wounds and your wisdom. To integrate is to bring everything you are into consciousness and to say, all of me belongs. Manifestation doesn't come from denying your fear, your anger, your shame. It comes from owning them, from saying, yes, I've been broken. Yes, I've been scared. And yes, I am still whole. Because the moment you integrate, the unconscious stops sabotaging you. The shadow no longer needs to scream for attention by creating chaos. Your energy becomes clean, magnetic, aligned. Wholeness equals to magnetism. When you are whole, you no longer chase what you think will fix you. You attract what reflects your healed state. And that is real manifestation. Not fantasy, not escape, but deep inner congruence. Life bends not because you forced it, but because your inner world finally matched the outer one. 7. Ego versus soul. Inside each of us is a constant tension, the ego and the soul. And until you learn to distinguish between them, you'll keep mistaking fear for intuition, control for clarity, urgency for truth. The ego lives in survival mode. It craves control because it is terrified of uncertainty. It hates silence, so it fills your mind with questions. When will it happen? Why hasn't it happened yet? What if it never does? The ego is urgent. It is restless. It is the voice that keeps checking your phone, refreshing your inbox, or overanalyzing every sign, desperate for proof. The ego begs. The soul, however, moves differently. The soul does not crave control because it already knows it is safe. It doesn't fear time because it exists outside of time. The soul speaks softly in whispers of peace, alignment, and trust. While the ego shouts, the soul remembers. Carl Jung captured this when he wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Who you truly are is not the panicked, restless ego, the part of you clinging to timelines and outcomes. Who you truly are is the quiet soul underneath, the one who already feels whole, complete, worthy, the one who doesn't chase because it doesn't need to. Here's the paradox. The ego thinks control equals safety, but in reality, control suffocates. It drains your energy and blocks flow. The soul, on the other hand, surrenders, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. It says, I trust that what is meant for me cannot miss me. I align, I allow, I receive. So the question becomes, in this moment, am I listening to ego or to soul? If it feels like panic, pressure, or desperation, that's ego. If it feels like peace, presence, and quiet trust. That's soul. The work is not to kill the ego, but to recognize it and to choose the soul. Because when you choose the soul over the ego, you stop living as a beggar for proof and start living as a co-creator with life itself. And that is the beginning of becoming who you truly are. 8. Shadow work equal to manifestation work. Most people think manifestation is about light. Vision boards, affirmations, scripting, gratitude lists. But the truth Jung uncovered is far more raw. You cannot manifest a life of wholeness while rejecting the parts of yourself you've buried. The shadow is the repressed self, the fear you silence, the rage you swallowed, the guilt you buried, the shame you dressed up as ambition. It is everything you decided wasn't acceptable to show the world, but just because you've hidden it doesn't mean it stopped existing. The shadow lives in the unconscious, quietly steering your decisions, sabotaging your progress, and creating cycles you can't escape. Here's the secret. If you manifest from your shadow, you will only recreate your wounds. If you crave love but haven't healed abandonment, you'll attract partners who leave. If you chase money from a place of insecurity, you'll manifest wealth that slips away as quickly as it arrives. If you run after success to cover shame, your achievements will feel empty, no matter how big they look on paper. This is why Jung insisted, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Shadow work is not about eliminating your darkness. It's about facing it, owning it, and integrating it into the whole of who you are. When you finally sit with your fear, your anger, your shame, and say, you are allowed to exist. You are a part of me. You don't control me anymore. Something incredible happens. Your energy stops leaking. Your unconscious stops sabotaging. And suddenly your manifestations no longer come from desperation or lack. They come from alignment. Healing your shadow frees your energy and makes you whole. And only from wholeness do you create a life worth living. 9. Don't block your own destiny. The most painful truth in Jung's work is this. The only thing standing between you and the life you desire is you. Not your past, not your trauma, not the universe. You. Why? Because self-rejection fragments your energy. When part of you says, I want this, but another part whispers, I don't deserve it, your vibration becomes contradictory. You send out mixed signals. One moment you attract, the next moment you repel. It's like planting seeds in one hand and uprooting them with the other. You don't receive what you want. You receive what you are. And if who you are is fragmented, unworthy, or ashamed, life mirrors that back. You'll unconsciously sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. You'll delay blessings, walk away from possibilities, and tell yourself it's bad luck. But it isn't bad luck. It's your identity at war with itself. This is why an identity shift matters more than outcome chasing. You don't need to do more, force more, prove more. You need to become the version of yourself who already embodies what you're seeking. When you stop saying, I'll feel worthy when I get it, and start declaring, I am worthy now, with or without it, you collapse the gap. The external can finally align with the internal. So if things feel stuck, don't ask, why isn't it working? Ask, what part of me still believes I don't deserve it? Because the moment you shift that belief, you stop being the blocker of your own destiny. 10. You're not manifesting, you're remembering. Here is the final truth, the deepest revelation that Jung's work whispers. You were never broken, never lacking, never incomplete. Everything you've been chasing already exists inside you. Manifestation isn't about building something new. It's about remembering what was always there. From the moment you were born, you carried wholeness. But somewhere along the way, the noise of the world convinced you otherwise. Teachers, parents, society, culture. They told you you had to earn love, perform for worth, sacrifice your truth for belonging. And so you forgot. You forgot your original alignment. You forgot your natural state of trust. Surrender is not a trick. It's not a cheat code. It's your natural state. Yeah, alignment is not something you manufacture, it's something you uncover. When you stop grasping, hustling, and forcing, you don't become less. You become more. You peel away the layers of fear, guilt, and overthinking until what's left is the self that always knew. I am whole. I am complete. I am already aligned. That's why the most powerful shifts often come when you do nothing, when you stop interfering, when you stop begging. Because in that stillness, your true frequency returns, the one you were born with, the one that doesn't attract through panic but magnetizes through presence. You're not manifesting, you're remembering. And when you remember, when you return to the soul beneath the masks, the alignment beneath the striving, you finally see what Jung meant. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. If even one line in this message cracks something open inside you, don't just scroll past it, anchor it, comment below. I remember, not for me, not for likes, but to declare it to your own unconscious, to remind yourself that this time, you're not chasing, you're becoming. Hit like if you're ready to choose alignment over obsession, and subscribe if you're done with surface level hacks and ready to go deeper into Jungian truths that rebuild you from the inside out. And share this with someone you love who's still stuck in the chase. Because sometimes the most powerful gift we can give isn't advice, but a reminder. You are already whole, already worthy, already enough.